Prime Minister, it's quite fitting that we're here in a gladiator's ring because you've got quite a fight on your hand in terms of climate change. India and China, the world's first and third biggest emitters, have not committed to net zero by 2050.
Yeah.
President Biden hasn't got his deal signed off in Congress. I put it to you, you're fighting a losing battle.
Well, the whole of humanity, Beth, is in the ring. And the foes of humanity are apathy and political indifference and lack of will and people's excessive caution about what they can achieve. Those are the foes that we all collectively face. And actually, I think that we can still do it. I think there is a chance, if everybody puts their minds to it, that we can get an agreement that will allow us to restrain the growth in temperatures. We're not going to stop climate change.
You said on the plane that we were 5-1 down at half-time.
Yeah,
that's bad odds. What are you putting the odds on? That's 20%? I mean, do you really think it's still 6 out of 10 chance of getting this done?
I think it's going to be very difficult.
Do you still think 6 out of 10?
I think there's a chance. I think there's a chance. What we can do is get an agreement that COP26
What
is...
odds do you put on it? 50%?
I think it's about the same as it was.
60%?
It's about the same as it was.
That's quite optimistic given what's happening with the 3 biggest emitters.
Let's see where we get to. And the pressure is huge, but what people need to do is see the scale of the risk. And, you know, you talk about the place that we're in. I think you're quite right. This vividly reminds us of what happens when civilizations miscalculate and then history actually goes into reverse.
You spoke to President Xi yesterday. Are you giving him a red card?
I had a good conversation with the Chinese, with President Xi, and I think that China has made a huge amount of progress in some areas.
But you need him to move more quickly, don't you?
On stopping overseas
John Kerry said without them committing, without them increasing their targets, the whole thing collapses. It's true, isn't it?
What we want to see is more progress from lots of countries. And what I said to President Xi is that it is possible to move away faster from coal than China is currently doing.
And you think you'll get there at the end of 2 weeks? I'm going to have to move on.
The UK, and I think our viewers should remember this, the UK did it. I told President Xi, when I first went to Beijing as Mayor of London, we had 40% of our energy came from coal. It's now less than 1%.
Just in terms of Brexit, France, disputes with France on fishing and EU on Brexit. Are you on the cusp of 2 trade wars, one with the EU over Northern Ireland border and one with the French over fishing rights?
We're very keen to work with our friends and partners on all these issues. If another European country wants to break the TCA, then the Trade and Cooperation Agreement, then obviously we will have to take steps to protect UK interests. That's absolutely
So are you going to launch a dispute settlement?
Are
you going to launch a dispute settlement with France next week?
If there's a breach of the treaty, or we think there's a breach of the treaty, of course we'll
do you think there's a breach of the treaty?
We'll do what's necessary.
Do you think there's a breach of the treaty?
We'll do what's necessary to protect British interests. But I am concerned here today.
Do you think there's been a breach of the treaty?
I'm worried that there might be. I'm worried that there might be. And I'm looking at what's going on at the moment. And, you know, I think that we need to sort things out.
So you can't rule it out that you won't trigger that mechanism next week?
That is frankly small beer or trivial by comparison with the threat to humanity.
But just to be clear, you're not ruling out that you might trigger the mechanism next week?
No, of course not. I don't rule that out. But what I think everybody wants to see is cooperation between the European powers. And Emmanuel Macron and I share a common perspective, which is that climate change is a disaster for humanity, and that we have the tools to tackle it. France has made huge progress.
I'm going to jump in because I've got 30 seconds left, and I just want to put what your good friend, as you described on the plane, said about you yesterday to the Financial Times. He said Britain's credibility is on the line over Brexit and fishing. He said, make no mistake, it's not just for the Europeans, but for all their partners, the UK's partners. When you spend years negotiating a treaty, then a few months later you do the opposite of what was decided, it's not a big sign of your credibility.
Which is the point I would make, in all humility and sincerity, to all our friends and partners. You know, we want to see that treaty observed, but in the meantime...
So you think he's not observing it?
In the meantime, I think the much more important issues before us and before world leaders today and in the next few days is how to come together, set an example to the whole world about how we tackle climate change, make those nationally determined contribution commitments, show that we can cut coal, show that we can end our dependence on hydrocarbon cars, and give the developing world the cash it needs to fix it. We can fix it, but the lesson of history is that things can go badly wrong and stay wrong for a long time.